What's up guys? Let's talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. One of my favourite events on the calendar. I think most people probably feel the same way. First of all, it's an incredible circuit. I mean, just look at the layout of the circuit. It's unbelievable, the number of twists and turns, the figure of 8 layout. Some of the demands that those corners put on the car and driver are insane. One of the most physically demanding tracks. The runoff is almost non-existent. If you get it wrong, you're going off into a gravel trap or into a barrier. And all of those things, together with the fans that support this event, make it one of the most amazing Grand Prix that we've had. The 30th time that the Japanese Grand Prix will have been held at Suzuka this weekend, so it's got some incredible history about it too. And when we used to go there, I mean, one of the things that always stands out is the crowd, the fans. The fans turn up, I mean, days in advance, queuing outside the circuit, lining the streets on a Wednesday and a Thursday, even before the event has officially started, waving and cheering the crowd, the teams coming in. And you know, when I was just a mechanic, just simply a lowly mechanic, these Japanese fans would be cheering us, they'd be waving at us, they'd make us gifts every year. I mean, I tried to find it, I couldn't find it, I'm so gutted. If I do find it, I'll pop it on social media. There's in my loft somewhere, there is a little doll, in fact there's a couple of little dolls that Japanese fans made of us, of the mechanics, the pit stop crew, together with the tiny little things, but all the right sponsors, logos on, the details, unbelievable. I used to get given gifts of like chocolate spanners I got given one year by a fan. An amazing place and an amazing experience, because even as a lowly mechanic, as part of any Formula One team, you feel like a bit of a superstar because they are so passionate about Formula One coming to town, and it makes it a great event. So that all happens in the build-up. When we get there, of course, it's into the action on a Friday. And Friday's going to be crucial because this time around Pirelli have brought the medium, the soft and the super soft tyre, which is the same selection that we had last year, but of course the compounds are all about one step softer this year than they were last year. So there's still going to be an awful lot of work to do in understanding how those compounds are working on these particular cars for 2018, these faster cars of 2018. So that's going to be really interesting to see how how each car can manage those tyres. It's an abrasive track, this one. It's a sort of old weathered surface, quite high abrasion levels, and that means that the tyres are put through a certain amount of stress, together with the really long and really high speed corners that this circuit has lots of. The loading on the tyres, the lateral loading in particular, is impressive. This circuit is much more about lateral loading, as in sideways loading of the tyres, much more so than some other circuits, which are much more about longitudinal forces, braking events, and the dogs have got a squeaky toy again over there. Some other circuits are much more about traction and braking, and that's what limits your car's performance. Here, what limits your car's performance is the lateral G-forces it can sustain, the lateral grip levels that it has. So go for a sort of medium to high downforce level, because lots of these corners are very, very fast. You need an incredibly quick change of direction to be successful around this track. In order to do that, you need a reasonably high downforce level. You also need a reasonably stiff setup on the suspension to be able to make the car incredibly responsive at high speed, to put in a steering input and know that instantly the car's going to do what you expect it to do. It's going to change direction. It's going to use that aerodynamic loading to enable it to quickly change direction through some of those fast twists and turns. And as well as that, the driver, of course, has to have absolute confidence in his car that is what's going to happen when he does put in those steering inputs. So that's what lots of the work on Friday will be around refining aero levels, refining the mechanical stiffness, the mechanical setup of the car to give the driver exactly what he needs. Because here you've got to be brave as a driver. This is where you get your money's worth out of your drivers, because this is where a driver can genuinely make a big difference. And it's about bravery, it's about pushing to the limit, but knowing that you're not going to step over that limit, because if you step over the limit here, you're off into a gravel trap and your race could well be over. Unlike Sochi, for example, where you've got huge runoff areas and you can afford to make a mistake and just come back on again. So really interesting track for all of those different reasons. In terms of power units, also quite demanding. This is a circuit that's got a lot of time spent at full throttle, or certainly at high speed. Very kind of low on braking, I guess. There are not many braking events, and even of the ones we do have, they're not that severe. So brake wear is not really an issue. In terms of tyres, wear and degradation can be quite high here because of that abrasive surface and because of the speeds and the lateral changes of direction. You can end up wearing through tyres and degrading them quite rapidly on this particular track. So that could start to force people into a two-stop race. I think traditionally Suzuka's normally been a two-stop, if I remember rightly. I think last year it was a one-stopper, but we had a safety car and a virtual safety car last year as well, which definitely played into that. The fine balance here at any circuit now is that, of course, teams always want to have a one-stop if possible, because it's generally the quickest way around. But some track it starts to swing towards a two-stop race, and I think that's what Suzuka hopefully will bring us. Is a two-stopper, because it tends to give us better racing generally and sort of mix up the strategies a little bit more. I suspect it's going to be close again at the front. I mean, Mercedes definitely look like they have taken a step away from Ferrari, or perhaps it might be that Ferrari have taken a step back away from Mercedes. We shall find out when we get more details of what's happened to Ferrari, because certainly they have lost some performance over recent races, certainly end of straight speed. If we saw how Lewis Hamilton just blitzed past Sebastian Vettel in Sochi, and how Sebastian just couldn't get past him on that long run down to turn 2 at the start of the race in Sochi, really highlighted for me, and I know Lewis had a bit of a slipstream from Valtteri, but highlighted how much performance, high speed performance, end of straight performance Ferrari seemed to be lacking, which was one of their real strong points early in the season. There's lots of speculation about why that might be. Hopefully the details of some of that may come out in time, but I think it's still going to be close between the two cars. I think this is a circuit that really suits a car that has great aerodynamic downforce efficiency and, as I say, great mechanical grip. And I think both Mercedes and Ferrari are strong in those areas. I think also Red Bull will have a better opportunity here. I don't think this is going to be one of their strongest races, but I certainly think they have an opportunity to be much closer to the front two teams here. It's also going to be really interesting to see how Toro Rosso fare. They tried a brand new power unit update in Sochi on the Friday. They took it out for the race weekend, but all signs point to that being a really significant increase in performance. The team say, and even their kind of rhetoric around this seems really positive. The team say that it brought them a good few tenths of a second per lap, and that's a decent upgrade from a power unit upgrade. So we'll see how that fares, because that's of course a home race for Honda. It'd be great for them to get a good showing there, and perhaps a positive sign for Red Bull for 2019 and beyond. Okay, I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else major that we need to talk about, but I'm really looking forward to it. As I say, one of my most favourite races. Highlight for me, looking back over my career, I'll just quickly say this, as well as just visiting Japan every year, which is a beautiful and brilliant country. If you think back to 2005, fans of that era will remember one of my most amazing races to be involved in was when Kimi won the race on the last lap in 2005 at Suzuka, having started 17th on the grid, worked his way through the field and got up behind Giancarlo Fisichella onto the last lap, put a move on him, made it stick and won the race. And it was an incredible feeling. It was one of the most amazing, I think one of the most amazing victories for a long time in Formula One anyway, but to be part of it was insane. And it led on to a good 2 or 3 day drinking bender, if I remember rightly, and started off in celebration of that result. We moved on from there, from Japan to China, along with Kimi, and had the most incredible few days, most of which I can't remember. But yeah, definitely a highlight for me. So let's hope we get more highlights this weekend. Enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix. Keep your questions coming in, because I really appreciate them all, and I'm trying to get through as many as I can, but I love reading them, so keep them coming. Have a great weekend, and I will see you very soon.